The Zycral never wasted an opportunity to be dramatic. Their leader, a particularly smug reptilian with a crimson frill, raised his four-clawed hands to the sky, basking in the glow of the twin moons. The crowd of gathered Zycral warriors let out a synchronized hiss, an unfortunate sound that made them all resemble a colony of overexcited kettles. At the center of the stone dais, bound and bruised, Emma Carter groaned. All right, I get it. You're all evil, scary lizard people. No need to be so theatrical about it. Her voice was hoarse, but her sarcasm remained at full strength. This earned her a swift kick to the ribs from one of the guards, who clicked his teeth in what she assumed was satisfaction. Emma wheezed, curling inward slightly, but refusing to give the Zycral the satisfaction of a scream. 11 years old, stuck on an alien planet, and on the menu for a fire-breathing monster. Really just stellar luck. The leader, who she had mentally nicknamed Overlord Frillface, stepped forward, his sharp-toothed grin exuding smug superiority. Human, do you understand the honor that has been bestowed upon you? He crooned, voice thick with mockery. Oh yeah, huge honor, she deadpanned. You kidnapped me, threw me in a cage for 3 days, and now I'm a glorified chicken nugget for your pet dragon. Really feeling the VIP treatment. The surrounding Zycral warriors exchanged glances. They weren't accustomed to prey talking back. Most of their victims sobbed, begged, or fainted outright. Emma had done none of those things, and it was starting to make them uneasy. Overlord Frillface Frill twitched, a sure sign of irritation. He waved a hand toward the massive pit at the center of the ceremonial grounds. Deep within, something shifted. A guttural rumble echoed from the darkness, sending vibrations through the rock beneath their feet. The Devourer awakens, Frillface declared, voice rich with reverence. For over 100 cycles, it has consumed all who are unworthy, fools, traitors, and now, the weakest of all creatures, humanity. Wow, somebody's compensating for something, Emma muttered. Frillface flicked his tail in annoyance before turning back to his warriors. Throw her in? 2 guards seized Emma by the arms. She squirmed, but between the shackles and the bruises, there wasn't much she could do. All right, listen, maybe we can negotiate? No. Cool. Worth a shot. With all the ceremony of tossing out the garbage, they hurled her into the pit. Wind rushed past her ears, and for a brief, terrifying moment, weightlessness overtook her. Then she hit the ground hard. Dust exploded around her, and she let out a choked groan. Definitely bruised something. Again. Above, the Zycral watched with predatory anticipation. Emma struggled to push herself up. The ground was hot. Too hot. The air itself shimmered. A deep growl reverberated from the cavern's depths. And then it emerged. The Devourer was a massive beast, easily the size of a transport shuttle. Scales darker than midnight, eyes like molten gold, and wings that unfurled with an eerie grace. Its claws scraped against the stone, tail sweeping lazily behind it as it prowled forward. Its snout lowered, nostrils flaring as it inhaled the scent of its latest sacrifice. Emma barely managed to keep herself from hyperventilating. Sure, sarcasm was great and all, but it didn't do much against giant death lizards. Her heart pounded, her brain screaming at her to run, but her legs weren't cooperating. Hey there, big guy, she whispered, trying very hard not to sound like a chew toy. Let's talk about this. You probably don't need to eat me, right? Maybe you're on a diet. Maybe you prefer your sacrifices with a bit more nutritional value. The dragon's head tilted ever so slightly. Emma blinked. Had it just reacted to her? Above, the Zycral were growing restless. This was taking too long. The Devourer never hesitated. A chieftain growled. Why does it delay? Frillface Frill twitched again. It is deciding how to consume her. Be patient. But down in the pit, something entirely unexpected was happening. The Devourer, rather than snapping her up like an hors d'oeuvre, lowered its head to sniff her. Its massive nostrils flared, taking in every detail. Her scent, her injuries, the blood on her lip from where she'd bitten it earlier. Emma, very much aware that her life depended on not doing anything too stupid, remained still. So, What's the verdict? Too stringy? Not enough seasoning? The dragon exhaled, its breath a warm gust that sent her hair flying. But it didn't open its jaws. It didn't lunge. Instead, it blinked. The massive golden eyes locked onto hers. And somehow, she understood. This thing wasn't just a mindless predator. There was something behind those eyes. A flicker of intelligence. Recognition. Emma swallowed. You don't want to do this, do you? The dragon let out a soft huff. Overlord Frillface, growing impatient, grabbed a plasma staff from one of his guards and aimed it directly at the beast's head. Obey. He commanded, and with a sharp crack, a bolt of energy surged into the dragon's back. The devourer roared in pain, the sound shaking the very foundations of the pit. Its wings flared wide, eyes burning with fury. The Zycral had expected a show of dominance. They had not expected the dragon to whirl around and snarl at them. Emma, mind racing, saw her chance. She lunged forward, not away from the dragon, but toward it. I can help you, she whispered. Just don't eat me and we'll call it even. The beast stared at her for one long, breathless moment. Then, in a motion so fluid it was almost graceful, it lowered its massive body until she could scramble onto its back. From above, the Zycral gasped in outrage. What is this? Frillface snarled. Kill them both. Emma barely had time to grab hold before the dragon leapt. One powerful beat of its wings sent them rocketing upward, past the cavern walls and into the open night. The Zycral scrambled, weapons firing, but it was too late. The Devourer, her dragon now, unleashed a deafening roar, one that sent the mighty Zycral warriors scattering in terror. Emma couldn't help herself. She grinned, wind whipping past her face. Oh, you guys are so screwed. The wind howled as Emma clung to the dragon's back, her fingers digging into the ridges of its scales. Flying on a giant fire-breathing beast seemed like the kind of experience that should come with a harness, a seatbelt, or at least a warning label. Instead, she had approximately 0 safety measures and a growing suspicion that if she fell, the dragon wouldn't have time to catch her. Not because it didn't care. No, that was the weird part. It did care. She could feel it below them. The Zycral stronghold was a mass of panicked reptiles, running in every direction, trying to figure out why their precious, all-powerful devourer had suddenly developed a rebellious streak. Plasma bolts streaked through the night, but the dragon wove through them with effortless grace, twisting and diving like a creature that had been waiting for this exact moment its entire life. Emma had about 3 seconds to enjoy the ride before reality came crashing back in. Okay, I get it, she yelled over the rush of wind. You don't like them either. That's great. Love that for us. But what's the plan here? Because I don't know if you noticed, but they have ships and guns and a lot of really angry lizard guys with sharp things. The dragon didn't respond, mostly because it didn't have a mouth capable of witty banter, but she felt something shift in its posture. A low rumble echoed through its chest, reverberating into her very bones. It wasn't just noise, it was thought, a feeling. Emma's eyes widened. Wait, are you talking to me? The rumble deepened. Not words exactly, but understanding. A connection forming, raw and ancient. She blinked rapidly, trying to separate her own thoughts from the ones that suddenly weren't hers. Flickers of memories not her own. Chains, pain. Orders barked in a language not meant for command. The Zycral's cruelty burned through the dragon's mind, decade after decade, a prisoner inside its own body. Emma's stomach twisted. Oh, she murmured. They've been controlling you this whole time. The dragon dipped one wing, shifting direction, and for the first time, she saw it. Embedded just behind the beast's skull, nestled between the scales, a jagged metal implant gleaming under the moonlight. The Zycral's leash. Emma let out a slow breath. So, that's why you hesitated back there. You're supposed to obey them, but you don't want to. The dragon rumbled again, this time with something close to frustration. Emma adjusted her grip, forcing herself to think. The Zycral had been zapping the dragon earlier, trying to force compliance. Meaning that implant wasn't just a tracker, It was a control system. If they activated it again, her new friend might not have a choice in the matter. That wasn't an option. She had no weapons, no tools, just her hands and an impressive streak of recklessness. But if she could break the device... "Okay, buddy," she muttered, shifting to her knees, balancing as best as she could on the moving dragon. "I need you to hold really, really still for a second." The dragon snorted, as if to say, "Are you serious?" Yeah, I know mid-flight surgery isn't ideal, but guess what? Neither is getting mind-controlled again. Just, stop wiggling." She braced herself and reached for the implant. It was hot, burning, searing against her fingertips. Emma hissed through her teeth, but didn't pull away. Up close, she could see it was grafted into the dragon's flesh, wires running beneath the scales. A horrible piece of technology, cruel and efficient. Rage bubbled up in her chest. How many years had this thing spent as a prisoner in its own body? How many people had the Zycral forced it to kill? Emma's jaw tightened. Not anymore. She gripped the implant with both hands and yanked. Instantly, the dragon roared, its body convulsing midair. Emma nearly lost her grip, but she didn't let go, didn't stop, even as pain burned up her arms. The device pulsed beneath her fingers, fighting back, an electric surge snapping through her nerves. But she didn't stop. With one final wrench, the implant ripped free. The dragon screamed, a deafening sound that split the sky, and for one terrifying second, they plummeted. Emma's stomach flipped as the ground raced toward them, her grip slipping. Then, with a powerful snap of its wings, the dragon steadied. And for the first time in its life, it was free. Emma collapsed against its back, panting. The implant sparked in her trembling hands, and without thinking, she chucked it as hard as she could, watching it disappear into the void. The dragon took a deep, shuddering breath. Then another. Emma could feel the difference. The tension in its muscles had eased, the constant underlying pain no longer there. Its mind, because that's what it was, a real, thinking mind, brushed against hers in gratitude. Emma grinned weakly. "You're welcome." The dragon gave a slow, deliberate roll midair. She let out a startled yelp. "Hey, rude. I just saved your scaly butt." A distinct sense of amusement radiated from the beast. Emma huffed, brushing soot from her bruised arms. "All right, smart guy, what now?" As if in response, the dragon turned, angling its body toward the Zycral fortress. Emma frowned. Not sure if you noticed, but we just escaped from there. Not exactly a great vacation spot." The dragon let out a sharp snort, fire curling from its nostrils. Realization dawned. "Oh," Emma murmured, a slow grin spreading across her face. "You want revenge?" The dragon's golden eyes burned with something ancient and fierce. Emma flexed her sore fingers, ignoring the ache in her muscles. "Well," she said, settling back into position. "Who am I to argue with a fire-breathing superweapons?" Below them, the Zycral were regrouping, their war machines humming to life. Emma grinned. "Let's go ruin their day." The Zycral war horns blared through the night, a deep, guttural sound that rattled the bones of every unfortunate creature within earshot. Warriors scrambled across the fortress, their sleek plasma rifles charging, their war machines rumbling to life. The sky above them was supposed to be theirs. Asterisk, asterisk, their asterisk, asterisk domain, their battlefield. Yet at this moment, as a massive shadow blotted out the moons, not a single one of them felt in control. Emma, perched on the back of her newly freed dragon, grinned so wide it almost hurt. "Oh, they are not ready for this." The dragon let out a low, rumbling growl that sounded suspiciously like agreement. Plasma turrets whirred, tracking their target. Orders barked into Zycral's harsh, hissing tongue rang through the stronghold. A squadron of sleek, insectoid fighter ships launched from their hangars, engines burning blue. Emma leaned forward. "All right, buddy. Time to see what you can really do." The dragon tucked its wings and dropped. A shriek of air rushed past Emma's ears as they plummeted toward the fortress like a meteor from hell. The Zycral had just enough time to realize what was happening before the dragon inhaled deeply, then exhaled. Fire, white-hot and furious, erupted from its maw. The nearest turret melted instantly, slag dripping onto the soldiers below. The force of the impact sent Zycral warriors flying, their weapons clattering uselessly against the stone. The air turned blisteringly hot, the fortress walls glowing orange, as if the very planet itself had decided to rise up against them. The fighters swerved, their pilots screeching orders at one another. The first two opened fire, plasma bolts slicing through the night. The dragon twisted mid-air, evading with unnatural agility. Emma clung tight, the beast's scales warm beneath her fingers. A Zycral commander, standing atop the highest tower, pointed a clawed finger toward them. Asterisk, kill it, asterisk. Emma grinned. Asterisk us, asterisk. The dragon spun, its tail whipping sideways. The nearest fighter didn't stand a chance. The impact sent it spiraling out of control, smashing into a fuel depot. The explosion rocked the battlefield, a mushroom of flame and debris rising into the sky. Emma whooped. Oh, now that was satisfying. The remaining fighters closed in, adapting to the dragon's movements. More turrets swiveled upward, their barrels glowing. The Zycral weren't used to losing. They were panicking, and panicked lizards were dangerous lizards. A burst of plasma nearly clipped the dragon's wing. Emma gritted her teeth. All right, new plan. Less dodging, more blowing stuff up. The dragon tucked its wings and dove low, skimming just above the stronghold's battlements. Zycral warriors dove for cover, hissing in fear. Emma spotted a cluster of them near the main gate, frantically trying to activate the stronghold's energy shield. Oh, no, you don't. She leaned over the dragon's side and, without thinking, asterisk jumped asterisk. For a split second, she experienced pure, weightless terror. Then she crashed down onto the Zycral commander, sending them both tumbling. The alien screeched in alarm, flailing beneath her. Emma didn't give it time to recover. She scrambled for the control panel, slamming her fist against the interface. The screen flickered, alien runes flashing. The Zycral warriors around her roared, raising their weapons. Then the dragon landed. The impact alone knocked half the warriors off their feet. The other half took one look at the beast's smoldering golden eyes and immediately reconsidered their life choices. Emma grinned up at her scaly companion. Took you long enough? The dragon rumbled, tail sweeping aside a row of barricades like they were made of paper. Emma turned back to the control panel. The shield was nearly activated. One final sequence, and the Zycral would lock down their fortress, buying themselves time to regroup. She couldn't let that happen. She scanned the controls, trying to make sense of the runes. Okay, so this one turns the shield on, but this one... She jabbed a random button. The fortress alarms wailed. The control panel turned red. A deep, shuddering boom rumbled from the fortress core. Emma's eyes widened. What did I just do? The dragon tilted its head. A nearby Zycral, still recovering from being body-slammed, let out a horrified hiss. You triggered the... Another explosion. A section of the fortress collapsed inward, sending stone and metal tumbling into the abyss below. The remaining Zycral warriors looked at each other. Then they looked at the very angry dragon. Then, as one, they turned and ran. Emma dusted off her hands. That worked out. The dragon huffed, lowering its massive head until it was eye level with her. For a long moment, the two just stared at each other. Then, in a slow, deliberate motion, the dragon pressed its snout lightly against her forehead. Emma felt something click in her chest. Not words, not exactly, but an understanding. This was no longer just a random escape plan. This was her dragon now. She grinned, resting a hand against its snout. Yeah, she whispered. You and me both. Behind them, the Zycral fortress continued to burn. The once mighty warriors of this planet were nothing more than shadows fleeing into the night, their empire crumbling beneath the weight of its own arrogance. Emma turned, taking one last look at the destruction they'd caused. Humanity had been weak once, a joke among the stars. But now they had dragons,